would be so easy to fall in love with you. It would be so easy, so easy. Yeah, it would be so easy to fall in love with you.
Day's end. How shall I end my days? My family and friends do not want to talk about this, but here, this is what I see. At the end of my days, when the spirit has moved on, I wish to be cremated. No traditional wake or burial in the custom of my ancestors. Asks for simplicity, no wake, no viewing, no formal burial. And wants to have a party on her block with the people from La Mama. Those theater people know how to party. And go out to Montauk and be on the beach.
It would be so easy to do. Oh, the firmness of the body, a beautiful one, sensitive to touch. Ignites spontaneous, cannot explain. The pleasure from our closeness, torn side by side, drifting through the darkness to our dreams. Oh yeah, and it would be so easy to fall in love with you. It would be so easy, so easy, yeah. It would be so easy to fall in love with you. It would be so easy.
I started this idea of having a celebration of Faye's, life was when, I visited her on August when she was in the hospital. And she told me, and that day she was so on cue. She had me get her all the supplies to brush her teeth. She wanted to take a picture of her. She told me she wanted to do FaceTime with Don, the director of Project Reach, her sister, her daughter, and Nicholas, and she wanted me to, tell the nurse she wanted another pair of socks. I mean, I was at her hospital on a Sunday for 2.5 hours, and this woman she had more energy than I had. And, but I realized, when I was talking to her, that there was moments where people surrounding her didn't even know what she did and who she was. And when I left the hospital that day, I had two agendas. Faye wanted a party, and and I text some of her friends that she told me to text to tell them to come up and have a party beforehand, and then also to bring all the dignity to this woman that she so well deserved. That in that hospital room, these people didn't even realize the body of her work.
Faye became the head of the Basic Workshop, and I worked with her on, I ran a couple of summer programs for the neighborhood youth for kids during the summer, and I ran the three-man basketball tournament with my friends, William Wong and Fay Chiang. I also taught a silk screen workshop for the kids during the summer. So that's how I got to know Faye over the years. And it was a very, very heady time in New York, especially in Chinatown back then. This is the mid-70s. There were many organizations sprouting up. There was, of course, the height of the civil rights movement, the aftermath of the Vietnam War. There was a lot of things going on, and Asians in general, I am included, and Faye, experienced huge traumatic changes, I think. And it was very strange looking back on it from the lens of where I am today, and Faye. I've always known her to be very kind, very giving. She truly is one of the original women warriors from the neighborhood. Never gave up. I'm very proud to have known her and worked with her in the community. Very proud to be associated with her in all these things. And there are very few people in my life who I can think of who have had as much influence on the community and the young and the old than Faye. She definitely has left her mark.
Good evening, everyone. So, me and Don is your MC for tonight. I told myself that I wasn't gonna cry. Faye was the mother that I never thought that I could have in my life. When I was 17, I had a choice to stay in the house, to die, or leave. And then I found a job at Reach. I was in high school and I found a summer job at Reach. And then one day I just break down. I told Garner and Faye that I'm homeless, I have nowhere to go. And then ACS got involved, and then ACS invited my mother at that time into the office. It was so bad. Faye was like, no, she's not going anywhere. I'm gonna take her, I'm gonna go back home with her. I was homeless. Faye helped me get a studio apartment. Faye's the mother that I've always dreamed of. I never thought in my life that I would have a mother like Faye. And I'm very happy that I got to meet Faye. She's such a strong woman. She has taught me a lot of things. Because of her, I'm able to help a lot of other people out. I did not think I was able to be that strong to help a lot of youth that were homeless. I have helped about 10 homeless youth get their own apartment. Right now, I'm also helping other young people to get their green card, because 3 years ago, Faye helped me get my green card. We have been fighting this for 7 years. When I was 17 until I turned 24, that's when I finally received my green card. So without Faye, I have no idea where would I be today. Because of her, I am here, and I want to continue her work because I feel like Faye deserves to be heard everywhere and anywhere she goes. When I went to Haiti, I purchased my my uncle's name, and I feel like I want to build a school, and when I build the school, I'm going to name it after Faye, and I would like to have Faye photos in it. And like I said, Faye is everybody's mother. She used to be at Reach. Long story short, but when I was homeless, I had to stay at Reach for like a couple of days, and Faye was there with me the whole time, like sleeping on a hard floor. She refused to sleep on anything else but on the floor with me. And Faye is the person that will tell you, go and get what you want, what you deserve. Do not let anyone stop you. Because of her, I'm able to go, do what I want in life, and then be able to help other people. No matter what anybody do to Faye, she's always strong. You can barely see Faye mad. She's always smiling. You don't know what she's going through, except when she decided to tell you what she's going through, then you know. Faye is a very strong woman. I'm happy that everybody is here that is able to get to know who Faye is. And I want to continue keeping her dream alive, helping other people and the youth.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming to celebrate Faye. I know that for many of you, it was kind of a shock to find out that she had passed. Most of you know that Faye has been living with breast cancer for quite a long time, and she's one of the few people that I know who just decided she was not going to let it kill her. And I'm not so sure that that's what killed her, because she just survived bout after bout after bout. And so, and all of you know, through many years, must have at least 5 generations of people here who have lived and known Faye and have benefited from the many things that she's done. So we want to thank all of you for coming together. What I'd like to do is, one, we apologize for not having enough chairs, but we'll deal, right? And So what I'd like to do is, we have some people who want to do some performance, but because we're going to be talking and celebrating Faye's life, we've actually asked everybody to share a little bit about Faye, because there's so many aspects of Faye. You may have known her for 40 years, but there's so many aspects of Faye where she was somewhere else. And given that we have this time together, we'd like to have everyone share what their experiences were, because it's Faye had a very rich life, and it was all because a lot of you were part of it, and we want to thank you. For those of you who may not know her, the woman on this side who looks like Faye is Faye's sister, Jeannie. One art space, which is the wonderful space that you're in here, was provided to us by Dan Giella and his staff, Ishak and Diego. Food, was the food pretty good? Yeah. Food was provided by May and her sister, Neji. And also, I think there was a contribution by NYU's Asian Pacific American something or other. Did you guys know, right? Okay. And, you got the gist of it, right? Okay. The video, the wonderful video that we have in the front was put together by Javier Soriano, who's right here, and he's continuing to video. And Liz Young was also part of it. Liz, where are you? Liz was actually Project Reach's first director 44 years ago. Okay? 47 years ago. Okay. So Liz just said she's older than I thought. Okay? Okay, and the music that you heard on the little iPod that's on the floor, which is all those songs that if you knew the words, you're really old. Okay? And, but what we learned was that from the hospice that hearing is the last thing that goes. And so we asked, could we bring music? And so Justin LaVoy was here. And Catherine Chambers, where's Catherine? 2 young people from Project Reach put together Faye's favorite songs, and we put it on a loop, and we played it at the hospice. And I even told the nurses, I said, well, you probably have to turn it off at night when she needs to get some rest. And they said, no, we're going to play it 24/7. Okay, and for the last 36 hours that Faye was with us, she had her music. So, the art curation that you see around the room is, you have to blame Jeannie. No, Jeannie worked really hard to gather this art and to put it up, and she's the curator, right? Is that what you call it? I'm not an artist. My apologies. And the MCs, of course, me and Cassie. And we want to give special thanks to all the artists. I think over 32 artists brought work. And we don't even know if we were able to put all of it up, but we want to thank everybody from the bottom of our heart, because art was really the essence of Faye's work, and it was reflected in her work around social justice issues and many other things. So we want to thank all of you. And that goes back as far as Basement Workshop, all the way up to Project Reach, and all the places she worked in between. So we want to thank all of you again. And what we're going to do is we're going to start the program.
I wanted to share just a little thing about Faye. Is she was a poet, and I met her in the early 70s when I had a reading organized by someone or a group of people at Basement Workshop on Lafayette Street, and I met everyone there. It was an incredible night, incredible reading, and there was Faye and Kai Ma and John Woo and Jeff Lee, and Jason was probably 3 years old. I don't know. Faye, Richard Oyama, there were all these poets there, and I think Tomia was there too, and so many of you are here tonight, and Susan Young, and here's Lois Elaine, and there are just all these writers and artists from many facets of Faye's life, and Dawn is too modest. You understand artists. So that's what I remember about Faye, besides being one of the most generous people on earth, and her work lives on with all of you. So I was asked by Teddy to read 2 short poems tonight by Richard Oyama, who happens to be in Thailand. And he sent these poems for Faye and for her family. So I know this is, a lot of people are going to speak tonight, so I'm just going to go right into it. And Jason, whatever you're feeling, you're the band. Cuttings for the Chiang family. Tomorrow the Thai people cremate their beloved king to be reborn through merit into a new life. The startle is not that the bloom of your exemplary day is now done, but that it flourished and grew despite the cuttings. The rituals you knew so well, the spirit food at the grave, the broom, the Chinatown banquet, your family will enact as you join your father, your mother, who talked the story of the cruel Japanese and sounded insults worse than Toisan, and your brother refuge too soon for the ghost world. She believed art a frill and wanted a wedding with lucky money and red envelopes, but you, Faye, had a vision, bold and audacious, of a culture of many colors. Madness was in our families, but our eyes were fixed above rooftops on Manhattan skies. You were the community and the commonality, bridging our difference like Crane's Bridge. The vision possessed us. We gave it shape, sheetrocking 16-hour days, drinking numberless coffees, scarfing beef chow fun, across 199 Lafayette, a basement on the 7th floor. This was before the cuttings, the dead parts, the stage 4 diagnosis. Those were the best years of all my days, and you were the root, the stem, the new growth. And lastly, Richard wrote Exit Interview for Faye. Where are you? In the invisible world, freed from the cross of my body. How is it? Mutable and blue. What is it like there? I am everything in the atoms, a wandering ghost. I miss you. I am present. What is death? A gate, a fish, a sky. What should I fear? Nothing. What should I say? In the end is your beginning. Is this a farewell? Hello, my kin, my brother. Where are you? A seance in the dark.
Real quickly, we are graced with the presence of Xian. Xian, want to raise your hand? This is Faye's daughter. So Faye did not leave us alone.
Let me just start with this. Fay Chiang presenting. Let me just introduce myself very briefly, and I'd like to put a little context in terms of my understanding of Faye's life and my interaction with her. And I also want to express my condolences and deep sympathies for the family members here, Jeannie and Sheena. Some of you, most of you do not know who I am. I happen to be the Director of Operations at the Chinese American Planning Council, which is the parent organization of Project REACH. But more importantly, I am a veteran of the Asian American radical movement back in the late 60s and early 70s. from the San Francisco Bay Area. And I have been very much also involved with the anti-police brutality struggle in this city and this country for over 20 years. All those things intertwine into what I'm going to talk about Faye. I didn't know Faye until 17 years ago. But at that time, back in 1970 in San Francisco, Chinatown, at the International Hotel, I was a member of the Asian Community Center / Everybody's Bookstore Collective, which evolved into an Asian American anti-imperialist organization called Guadalupe C. At that time, as most people would probably figure out, Asian America was located in the West Coast. That's where the majority of the Chinese and Japanese were. Today, the demographics are hugely different. But in those days, the sounds and graphics and optics from New York Chinatown came through to San Francisco Chinatown. We also had our own art workshop there on Kearny Street. It was called the Kearny Street Workshop. We began to hear about the basement workshop. They published magazines. They had singing groups. They have all kinds of different things. And that's when I first learned about Fay Chiang. Now, I met Corky Lee back in 70, 71. Never met Faye. Only knew her by reputation. Once in a while, when I moved to New York, when she was working for New York Newsday, I would see her byline on New York Newsday. And I would say, boy, that must be some heavy system, you know? And it wasn't until, like I said, 17 years ago when she was hired by Project Reach to help that I met Faye. And I think one thing is, since that time, we became very good friends. But let me just throw out some personal things about that. One is, you have an individual who already had built up a huge legacy. Yet Faye was such a regular person. Okay, that's very important to grasp. And as we got to know each other, because while I was an administrator for the Chinese American Planning Council, I was also continued to be a political activist, and we would have our meetings at Project Reach. So it would have been the David Wong Support Committee. It would have been the October 22nd Coalition to Stop Police Brutality, or it could have been the Stop Mass Incarceration Network. Once Faye found out what I was doing outside of paying the rent, she also got involved. She got involved both in terms of, you can see that she had a sense of justice that had to be expressed. She was very impatient with what was going on. And when she began to get involved with myself in terms of the anti-police brutality struggle, she began to learn and meet the parents who lost their loved ones. Great majority were innocent, shot in the back or what have you, okay, who lost their loved ones at the hands of the police and any kind of forms of law enforcement. She began to take to her art to express that outrage by reaching out to the parents. And let me just stop right there. We have one of the parents right here in the room. Andre Smith. Andre, please raise your hand. Andre is the mother of Justin Smith, killed by Oklahoma police. And Faye did was begin to take these victims and draw their portraits, what we call stolen lives, lives taken by law enforcement, lives who not only their lives were taken, but demonized after their lives were taken, or their parents and family members demonized and criminalized because they dared to stand up and to speak out. And this is what Faye actually began to gravitate more. I remember sitting in my office one day, getting a phone call. This was several years ago. It was Faye on the phone. Steve, I'm on the bus. I just saw an incident with the police. What should I do? And I said, you know, there wasn't a lot she could do. Were you able to document that? Then I talked her through some things that she could do. But this is a lesson that we all here in this room need to learn. I'm serious. This is a lesson we need to learn, because too much right now in this toxic political environment, not enough people are speaking out. Faye would have spoken out. And this is something that, you know, we did not have enough chance when she began to be in the hospital long term to have that kind of conversation. So with that, I'd like to end pretty much. I'm thinking some other things, but I'm going to hold them back. Again, will you please join me in saying Fay Chiang Presente. Fay Chiang Presente. Fay Chiang Presente. Fay Chiang Presente. When we say Presente, when we have our Stone Lives induction ceremony to show that the spirit of those lives who've been taken by law enforcement, by any powers that be, they are still with us. We take that spirit in actually galvanizing our own resistance, and a resistance that we need very much today. Thank you.
like Jessica, I learned about it through an ex-boyfriend, Victor Manuel Rosa. I'll throw his name out there. Why not? If he could be here, he would be. Somewhere with him. And one of the reasons why he said, let's go to this place is because it was so open to so many people, that it was really focused on Chinatown youth and stuff, but all these Latinos were there and black folks were there. It was a happening place. And it was a joyful place in many ways. And Jason, believe it or not, had a lot of hair back in those days. It was really cute. I was really young. You were 3 years old. Okay. One of my favorite poems, and I'm trying to do what Cassie was doing, I'm trying to do this. One of my favorite poems by Faye, which is in her book, 7 Continents, 9 Lives, is a fantasy. And it's a fantasy that I think a lot of us shared with her. This is her version of it. And then I'm going to read a poem that I also read for Faye when I heard that she had passed away when I was in Tucson last week. A Big Round Kitchen Table by Fay Chiang. When I was younger, before my father and brother came down with cancer and I had to take care of them, I always imagined having a wonderful, loving partner, and we would have 5 or 6 children. I saw a very large kitchen table in a simple loft in early Soho, rather than the house in the suburbs with a big round wooden table with children and their friends gathered around it, drawing, working on homework, or mixing bubbling science projects together. Friends and relatives coming and going, bringing in news and gossip, sitting for a while and catching up with a cup of tea or coffee. On the stove, maybe a big pot of soup or stew is simmering. Feel the warm sunlight flooding in from the white lace curtain windows. I'm kneading bread or making one of those gigantic salads, and all 3 hands are helping, peeling, busily chopping fresh vegetables gathered from the morning's farmer's market. A tug on my shirt, a touch to the elbow, and I'm bent over, tying a child's shoelace, bandaging a knee, or administering first aid to one of the many numerous hamsters, turtles, guinea pigs, cats, a veritable food chain of pets. Of course, there under the table, underfoot, are 2 golden retrievers, or labs, with their waggy tails and friendly smiles. And in a nearby room, there is music. Someone practicing piano, playing guitar, or humming a wordless tune. I thank Faye for that loving idea of what it would be like to have a family as community, because she made all of us her family in so many different kinds of ways. And it's interesting that you played Over the Rainbow for her. Someday I wish upon a star. Faye and I were both Aquarians, so we had that kind of bringing lots of different kinds of people together. Unbeknownst to me, last week, the Poets.org published a poem which I didn't expect to be posted for a while. And it turned out to be a way for me to eulogize Faye when I found out that she had died on the 21st. And so on the 22nd in Tucson, I read this poem and dedicated the whole reading to her. And the people in that audience stood up and applauded both my reading, but really her. And I thank her for that. May perpetual light shine. We have encountered storms, perfect in their drench and wreck. Each of us bears an ornament of grief, a ring, a notebook, a ticket-torn scar. It is how humans know their kind. What is known as love, what can become the heart's food stored away for some future famine, love remains a jewel in the hand, guarded, shared fragments of earth and air, drift and despair. We ponder what patterns matter other than moons and tides, musical beats, rumba, or waltz, or cha-cha-cha. Cosmic waves like batons, furiously twirling, colors proclaiming sparkle of darkness, as those we love begin to delight in the stars embracing. May she have a long and powerful journey in the celestial. Thank you.
got someone very special. Mark, can you stand up? Come on, Mark. Yeah, that's right. You stand up. This is Mark. Mark is Faye's ex-partner. She and father. That's him right there.
Hi everyone. I'm really glad to see everyone here. It's just a wonderful turnout. Really honoring Faye's wonderful life. I think all of us were touched by her. And I know every one of you here have a personal story that you could probably share with all of us today. And I guess I've known Faye, I don't know, since the early basement days of 22 Catherine Street, then moving to 199 Lafayette, and then returning to 22 Catherine again. So I met many of the artists and poets, writers, visual artists, everyone, and I was able to help Faye kind of continue and manage some of the works that she constantly kept creating and doing and more. And so when she wasn't in the office, I was usually there so that she could go and run around and protest or do what she needed to do. But on another level, Faye was so helpful to me because as a single parent, I was raising my daughter who was only about, I think a year and a half or so at the time. And then by the time when Faye came to my assistance, actually, when I was about, I think meanwhile my daughter was like, 5 years old or so, she actually came and really helped and sort of babysat for me so that I could run my dance company, Marita Dance Company at the time. So, and then from that experience, Faye wrote a couple books and she named the book Miwa's Song after my daughter. And so I'm going to read a couple poems, they're very short, that she wrote relating to that experience. This one is called Miwa's Song and the title of the book. I can't read, I'm getting old. This is Faye. We lie on the bed after reading story about Babar and Celeste in the animal kingdom. A soft light shines from the Winnie the Pooh lamp. Then Miwa says, Faye says, are you 5 years old yet? I remember when you were 2. Miwa says, well, I'm going to be 6 soon, in 6 months, I think. Faye says, are you thinking of presents yet? Miwa says, yes. Oh, maybe you shouldn't tell me then, you won't be surprised. Miwa says, I'll be having such a good time with life, I'll forget and then it will be a surprise. Faye says, oh. So we lie still, I am the one falling asleep, smelling the wool blanket and scent of a child's smooth skin and baby's hair. She says abruptly, do you know what a globe is? And Faye says, what? Where did you hear about a globe? Do you mean a glove? Miwa says, no. A globe is round and has a picture of the whole world on it. Faye says, oh, it's just, I see her years from now, a world traveler. Then Miwa says, I would really like a globe, one with a pencil sharpener on it, okay? And she really did get, I think she told me recently she got 2 pencils like that with a sharpener at the end. This is another song on the cover, Miwa's song on the cover. She says, do you want to hear a story? Faye says, okay. Do you want to hear a story about how I got my name? Faye says, okay. Well, when I was born, my mother wanted to name me Maya. Maya? Well, when I was born, my mother wanted to name me Maya. Again, she said, Maya? Yes, that means illusion in Japanese. But my grandfather, my father's father, wanted to name me Miwa. Faye says, Miwa? Yes, Miwa means beautiful peace. Faye says, that's nice, but if your mother wanted to name you Maya, why is your name Miwa? Miwa says, because you know why? When grandfather was in college, he knew this beautiful lady who was a wonderful dancer and was very, very pretty. So I was named Miwa. Thank you, that's as much as I hope I can see and talk to the rest of you sometime in the rest of the evening.
We have a very special friend here. Project Reach works in all 5 boroughs. And one of our partners in Manhattan is the American Indian Community House. And Vicki Tarrant is one of the parents of one of the young people who trained at Project Reach. And after Margaret, her daughter, trained at Project Reach, the American Indian Community House decided that they needed to have young people on their board of directors. So Margaret was the first young person ever brought onto the board of the American Indian Community House. And so Vicki would like to say a few words.
Hello, my name is Victoria Yellow Parent, and I'm Mandan and Pilaza from North Dakota. I came out as a Manny in the early 70s to Washington, D.C. And I came up to New York one day and met my husband and ended up staying and thought, well, I'll go home someday back to North Dakota. But after I met my husband, I've been here for 47 years now. And I go home whenever I can. And my youngest daughter was 11 years old. And Don came to the community house. And he asked if my 2 older daughters, Margaret and Kathleen, can work at the Project Reach. And I suggested, well, why don't you take all 3 of them to work? Because if you take the 2 and leave the 1, I'm going to hear, how come they get to work and I don't? So he ended up hiring all 3 for the summer. And my youngest was 11. And they've been working for Project Reach for a long time. And at times I kind of felt like I was happy they started working there because they learned a lot from Project Reach. And I would recommend any of you to go to Project Reach and help with the youth program there. And my kids have learned so much from them. And I think that anybody that has children should go to Project Reach and work, because it's a very safe environment that they could hang out at. So Faye was such a good friend. And sometimes we go out and have tea, or we go have something to eat. She'd come to my job at Community House, and we go out and have lunch. And I really miss her a lot. And that's all I want to say.
I met Faye, it had to be 40 years ago, at Basement Workshop, which was, of course, multidisciplinary art organization, one of the only ones that was catering to Asian Americans at that time. And somehow, I became attached because just by the fact that I was into music. And I owe Faye because of Faye, we were able to do jazz concerts, we were able to build a recording studio, we were able to reach out. We had Sunday jazz jam sessions. What else? I owe Faye because she let me get away with murder, because she was like a sister and a mother, and she was hot, of course. We weren't a thing, but it could have been. So after Basement Workshop closed, she would call me a project week to come out and play, even though I had stopped playing. I was into music for a long time. But for Faye, I will always come out, and I'm really sad today because this is going to be the last time. And it's amazing to see this gathering of people here. You should see what I see right now. It's incredible. This is the finest gathering of people I've seen in a long time, and only Faye can gather this type of crowd. We're going to be doing 2 songs. One song is called Prove My Love by Billy C. We're not going to be doing Let It Be. We're not doing In My Life. We're not doing Beatles songs. Which I know Faye, if she was here, she'd say, can you do that? I said, no, I haven't played that song in 50 years. We're going to do a song that... Sorry? Oh, yeah. Billy C.
Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here tonight, and it's really heartfelt to be here. And Jeff and I, through the years, have been called to play at Project Reach, and it's always been a meaningful time for us to do it. And I'm so happy that we could be here tonight. I just wanted to introduce my wife, Martina, who's going to help us sing some backups. And Jeff Lee, of course. This song is called Prove My Love, and it was written by myself and Justin LeBoy over here. And we met at Project Reach. Yeah, we formed a band called Mad for Justice, and it's on our CD by Justin. And this is just the bare bones version of the tune. Thank you very much. I can understand why you feel the way you do. I can understand, is this real or just a false repetition? I can understand why your heart is broken too. I hurt you and now I find our love out of commission. So give me a chance to prove my love to you. Give me a chance to prove my love. 'Cause I can be everything you need. So give me a chance to prove my love. I can understand how your heart is broken too. I understand, but you don't see. It hurts me just as much as you. But I can be your sun, your sky, your everything. And I can be the one to hold you when things are wrong. So give me a chance to prove my love to you. Give me a chance to prove my love. 'Cause I can be everything you need. So give me a chance to prove my love. Through the fire and through the rain,
Billy and Sam.
Thank you. Oh, by the way, I forgot, it's our wedding anniversary.
I didn't tell him to say that.
Please pass these around. I only made like 20. I didn't know the crowd was going to be this big. This is a song called Sizes, Shapes, and Colors. The reason I'm doing it for Faye is because this is the type of song that Faye is about. Cassie said it before, Faye is all colors. This is a song that we need for these times with this guy in the White House. And it's a simple song, simple lyrics. I hope you can help me out on the third verse. It's marked with a little highlight there. It was written by my drummer about 30 years ago, and I've always said, we have to do this song. The world needs it. It's time. One. Sing it, it's such a relief. I have no idea.
It's been so long. Mix up all your colors, not just black and white. There's other shapes and colors. Sizes, shapes and colors. Shapes and colors. Sizes, shapes and colors.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, that was impromptu. I did it done. Yeah, exactly.
This is a party. Fay Chiang, présente.
Hello. I want to thank Jeff, Martina, and Billy for letting me join them. That was very impromptu. I hadn't seen them in about a year and a half, so that was fun. How's everyone doing tonight? Hey. I'm Justin, sometimes called Justice Lavoy. I'm a singer-songwriter based out of Brooklyn. I first met Faye when I was... Thank you. I first met Faye coming out of a kind of like a mediation program in high school. I was like getting into a lot of trouble in high school. And I just had trouble fitting in. So I was sent to, this is funny. That's a Faye moment. Me and Faye, we shared that. We love that. I was at like an anger management group meeting, and I ran into Don and Faye, and they did like a I think it was a homophobia workshop. And me, 14 at the time, coming out, not really knowing how to deal with myself, and not knowing how to deal with the people who were rejecting me around me. Faye and Don accepted me and invited me to reach. And the journey kind of starts there. I was 14 now, I'm 26 now. I was 14 then, 26 now. And Faye was literally the mom I needed when I didn't know I needed. When I needed a stern talking to, when I felt lost. When oh my God, Faye, what am I gonna do about school? I just left Connecticut. She made a couple of phone calls, and that night I was admitted into Hunter College. So I went to Faye in the morning, and I dropped out of college, and then that night I was back in school at a different school, closer to home, with way more resources available to me. And that is the magic that is Faye. I said that once before, but Faye could if Faye made anything happen. Especially if it meant to empower young people. I was working with Faye during Project Reach, and there was no one who was more supportive. I remember asking Faye one time what she was doing for dinner, like if she was going home to cook. I said, hey, what you cooking tonight, Faye? She said, I don't have a stove. I said, what? You don't have a stove? She said, no, I knew a family that needed it. And that moment, it was when I understood what unconditional love was. Because Faye, if she could go without so someone else went on a little easier, so it'd be done. So with that, in that knowledge that I have to pay it forward. And I have to be kind to my brothers and sisters out there in the world. Because there's not enough kindness. And Faye broke the mold. Shion, I love you. We've talked, hey. But like, Faye, you like, there's no amount of love that Faye was my world. Faye, yeah, like my mom, like a second mom to me. And I just want to thank everyone in this room for being here to remember her. I want to thank everyone who organized this night. I want to thank Shion for being here. Faye lives on through her work and you. And all of us. And all of us. And I just, yeah, thank you all. Thank you.
It's really great to hear Justin and the others, the young people talk about what Faye meant to you. But back in the 70s, we didn't know all this. We were all trying to figure out what's going on, who are we? And I remember, I had a lot of interactions with Faye because it was all happening down in Chinatown in the early 70s. And I remember the first time she did this poem, and it was like, it just blew my mind. She was doing Who Am I? And it goes through parts of it, and then at the end she goes, Who am I was like, that's a good question. None of us knew who we were. But she had the voice, she had the words, she was in touch with who she was. And she could put it in words that would inspire others. I just thought she was way out there. She kind of scared me. And that's I know some of you in the 40s and the 70s were like, yeah, come on, Liz, you weren't scared. I was scared of Faye because she knew who she was, even back then. And she knew how to express it. It was something I didn't know. It took me about 40 years to kind of find out how to manage and identify my own feelings and express it and kind of resolve conflict. It took me 40 years to find that out. And Faye knew it at 21. That's amazing. And I have so much respect for her for that. She could do anything she set her mind to. She didn't give up. She wasn't mean to people. She wasn't a bully. She just knew what was right to do, and she did it. Even if nobody else was supporting her, she'd do it. And that's why Basement Workshop became the organization that it did become, that Pat Jones was talking about. I remember those days when spoken word, jazz, dance, it was all there at Basement because of Faye. She not only wrote all the grants and got the money to do this stuff, but she opened the doors to the community, outside of our community, into all the other communities around Lower East Side, Harlem. It was just an amazing time. The other thing I wanted to share with you was, I also am a breast cancer survivor since 1980. So I'm 37 years cancer-free. And knowing Faye, the last 5 or 6 years, I was doing some work with Project Reach, and Faye was there, and we talk about breast cancer. I could see that she was taking full responsibility for herself, for her health, her well-being. Even with all the things all the health challenges she went through, she never played victim. She took full control of her diet, of her well-being, of her spirituality, of her positivity. It was incredible to watch her and to see that, yeah, this is something she's going through, and she can write about it and put it in poetry and all that. But what was really so amazing was how she chose to live her life to the very end. Never giving up, never feeling sorry for herself, always looking forward and thinking about the young people that she had in her stead. I mean, she was a mother to so many people, and you've already heard tonight. But the thing about Faye was, she was her own person. We don't meet many people like that in our lives. I think all of us in this room have been privileged to have that meeting with somebody in our midst who lived her life true, strong, and present. And it's something that I hope each of us will continue to carry on in our lives so we can give that to others. As we do our work, as we raise our children, as we continue to fight all the injustice in the world, we have to fight from a place of love. Woo! Because love heals. Hate does not heal, hate destroys. Love heals. And Faye knew that. And she chose to live her life that way. And for that, I think we should all salute Faye for her life.
I met Faye a lot more recently than some of you. She and I met through Bob Pullman at Bowery Poetry Club. I was working with him on Bowery books. Faye and I got to be friends. And I ended up being able to work with her on her book, 7 Continents, 9 Lives. And also to publish her poetry every year for over 10 years in the journal Non-Egg Review. I know I've heard that a lot of, she was like a mother to a lot of you. And her poems really included a lot of her life. I came to love Faye as a person and admire her as a poet. Her work is clean, clear, unadorned, beautiful, and she writes about the things that are important to her. Her heritage, her family, her work, her beliefs, her friends, the kids at Reach, and of course her beautiful daughter, Gina. You can tell about what was important to Faye just by some of the titles of the poems. Resistance, resilience, change, reinvention. These were all hallmarks of Faye's own existence. And rather than tell you more about Faye's poetry, I'm going to read you a poem of Faye's. This was the first poem in 7 Continents, 9 Lives. But before that, it was published in Ordinary Women. Patricia Spears-Jones told you about that groundbreaking anthology from 1978. And this is called In the City of Contradictions by Fay Chiang. In the city of contradictions, we are among the survivors. We, with our hands, tool foundations in our songs, dreams, and dances, our myths, legends, symbols, our systems of work. We see oceans in rain puddles, grass blades grow from cement walks, and in the sky at night on Broadway, the moon full, stars cry, reminding us natural laws are to be remembered. We who ride subways, faces worn, dispirited with care. We who tend our homes, workplaces, families and friends. Wild at night in search, systematically trapped in identities, institutions, cornerstones of a society of prisoners, screaming in smoke, in drink, in disbelief for release. The hope of South Africa thrives in this city. And we, with our spirit, our love, we are among the survivors. Spread the news. Thank you.
I was going to read from my 5th book tonight in the series, Lucky, because it's been a lucky year for me. But it's really kind of funny to feel like celebrating when you feel like you're in mourning. But Faye would say, that's how it is in the city of contradictions. She wrote this poem 43 years ago. when we were all young and like had big ideas. So this is from a place, instead of reading my book, this is from a place that many of us know so well. So this is called Chinatown. Mahjong and dice on the tables upstairs. Confusion of trucks and cars, children, cats and dogs. People falling off the mountain of gold. Eddie died yesterday. Another street kid shot his fucking brains out. And Eddie's in heaven upstream East River. Did you know Mrs. Tong jumped off her building looking for peace, 6 stories above Mach? And hey, old Louis just passed away in his sleep, the fool, sleeping with the gas pipes on again. Did you hear about Lee? That he couldn't take his hen-pecking wife and screaming babies and rotten kids and his waiter job and promises that couldn't be bought with pennies? That he split before his head did? December 1956, Boston to New York. I saw a sunrise on empty streets with old buildings and dark fire escapes, people running to make a dime. In factories, restaurants, trying to beat time, make some American dream come true. And I ran in restaurants aged 10, standing on milk cartons, washing dishes, folding papers for the China Times, stringing beads for the old lady, and trying to be good and trying to be bad, worrying about brothers and sisters being beat in the schoolyard, being tough when I wanted to run, being smart-ass when I wanted to cry, trying to be big when I was really small, all the time, walking on the poverty line. All the time, feeling the deprivation, the wishing, and the wanting. American TV sold Mickey Mouse and Donald Ducks to little Alice and Jerry's and Run, Spot, Run in the suburbias of white picket fences and automobiles. And American society sold cheap labor and self-hatred to little Chins and Wongs and Run, Dog, Run in the ghettos of railroad flats and dead-end streets. I studied Asians in America, demonstrated against the war in Indochina, shouted Chi Lai, Kai Ho, Amakibaka, wrote newsletters, flyers, the times we leafleted and petitioned for community issues. I struggle to say and to believe, right on, to people's struggle and all power to the people. There is a people spirit and movement growing and pushing, rearranging the order of things that nothing can hold back. December 1974. Right on.
My name is Rachel Angel. My friend Jackie Thomas is going to accompany me, and I just want to thank you so much for having us here. I might be the only person in the room who didn't know Faye personally, but I feel extremely inspired and humbled and honored to be asked to play here by the family, and yeah, I'm just overwhelmed with emotion. I feel like I knew Faye, even though I didn't. All your stories are really inspiring. Thank you for having me. We're going to play 2 songs. The first one I wrote, and the second one is Mother Nature's Son by the Beatles. I think that it really fits in with the times right now, and I was pleased to hear that Faye really liked the Beatles. So. feel really speaks to the time we're living in. Mother Nature's son, all day long I'm singing songs for everyone. Sit beside a mountain stream, see her waters rise. Listen to the pretty sound of music and find me in my field of grass, Mother Nature's son, swaying daisies, singing lazy songs beneath the sun.
My name is Arlen Wong, and is Jason going to play for me? That's cool. I met Faye in 1979. I know, you guys weren't born yet. Often wonder where Faye, what is the source of her ferocious will? Closer? A few years ago, she stated again she needed to write and she needed to paint. As writers know, you need to write a lot before you can find the words that hang like two peas in a pie. Painters know you have to paint a lot to find two colors that fall in love. So Faye and I made a pact to begin this process. I have two stories from Faye. The first one is an email. I'll read the whole thing to you. Tuesday, April 28, 2015, 2:33 p.m. Hi Arlen, it was great having coffee this morning. Here's the first story. Please do not share. Well, except really if you want. Otherwise, feeling this is kind of a new process. And thanks for your encouragement, love Faye. Let me know what you think. Dragon by Fay Chiang. I was born on New Year's Day in the year of the dragon, 1952. A girl, wasted on a girl. Look at her. Strong arched eyebrows, strong cheeks, tall and dark like a boy. Of course, this sounds worse in Cantonese. This is my mother's mother speaking in the kitchen of a fourth-floor tenement apartment in Chinatown. Something is bubbling on the stove. the linoleum on the floor old and cracked. There are ducks hanging in the air shaft that would become dry and preserved as la'a. My mother and 3 aunts are cracking melon seeds and eating sponge cakes. Drinking tea on the Sunday afternoon, catching up on gossip before dinner. They finish chopping and dicing all the vegetables and meats for grandfather when he comes home from visiting his friends at the farm. As my grandmother speaks, they are clucking their tongues and shaking their heads at me. I am 5 years old in my light blue cotton dress with the bow in the back, Mary Jane shoes and knee socks, a fringe of bangs across my face like Mamie Eisenhower with 2 tight braids. My hands are clenched. What are they saying? They are talking about me, and I can only listen because I am the child. In my head, I am thinking, I can do anything a boy can do, and I will. The second story was written in Xi'an's grandfather's apartment in the Upper West Side. Dada had a view of the Hudson River. Faye would often stay up there after a bout in the hospital. This is called Change, August 12, 2015. My 2 sisters call from out of town and tell me to stop and rest. I tell them it's not so simple. I always think it takes the same energy to say yes as to say no. So why not say yes? I also believe love saves the day. And I tell my tribal kids, the heart is a muscle. So use it and you'll see how strong the love flows from and to you. Ha! My own laundry lies in bags next to bags of clothing and books I want to donate to the women's shelter and local public library. Piles of papers and manuscripts to be sorted and filed. My refrigerator is empty. The memoir goes unwritten for days at a time. I worry about paperwork, bills, make lists of things I must do yesterday. I vow to myself, I will write a kick-ass book, and I will play lotto, and swim and paint. While washing dishes, the list of what to do in my head grows bigger and longer. I'm spinning. Dada comes into the kitchen. He says, stop. Stop what you're doing and come here. I follow him to the open window. The sun is setting over the river, red, orange, and pinks in a brilliant turquoise blue sky, with one lone puffy cloud drifting slowly across the sky. The air is crisp. A ship sits still in the middle of the river, anchored. A barge moves slowly down the river. Birds swoop into the distance. We watch silently as the red-orange lights sink into the horizon, a line above the shimmery steel blue water. The moon rises. Another day, Dada says. Yes, a new tomorrow. With a sense of profound hallelujah. Farewell, Fay Chiang. Thanks.
I met Faye at a big birthday party on the very Lower East Side, the Far East Side of Manhattan, where they were throwing a big party for Faye for her birthday. And It was a fantastic event. Lots of different kinds of art. Loving and art creating individuals were there. Great music and readings and singing, and Faye was there, and very loving, powerful energy going on.
So what I'd like to do is a little bit of an exercise, because how many of you have been kind of sitting kind of still, right? Okay, could everybody who knew Faye through Basement Workshop please stand up? Okay, just look around to see who's here, okay? Let's give the people from Basement Workshop a hand. Okay, now, everybody who is here who knew Faye through Project Reach, please stand up. As you can see, the Basement Workshop people are very smart. They grabbed all the seats. So what I'd like to Cassie and I were trying to figure out how do we do this part that we have friends, family, and colleagues, because it's meant to be kind of an open mic. And at this time of the evening, it's always one of those situations where, what if nobody comes up? But also people are really tired, and a lot of people have shared stories. But we did want to offer the opportunity if there was anybody who kind of wanted to share something that wasn't said and would like to say a few words so that we could maybe close. We're hoping that this is not the last time we all come together. And the unfortunate thing is many of us reunion around the passing of our friends and our families. Is that true? And but it's pretty good to be here with everybody, right? Okay, so let's give ourselves a hand. Okay. Is there anybody who would like to, Michael, come on up. We have our friend from San Antonio, Texas.
Fay Chiang was a Mexican. If you have to end, go 10 days before Dia de los Muertos, and then throw your memorial on the third day of Dia de los Muertos. I got back into town last night on Dia de los Muertos. I got here and I said, what would Faye do? Stomp around the Lower East Side. So I went to her home, 64th Street, East 4th, I would get it wrong. And I visited and I said, by the home, the place where you went and lived above a shooting gallery, the place where you gave birth to your beautiful child, the place where you set up Operation Central to do all the work that you were going to do. I went around the corner, it was Dia de los Muertos, and there in the window of the flower shop, in the store that she went to every day, were 3 bundles of cempasúchil. Cempasúchil, you ask, is what? It's a marigold. It's the sweat of the sun. It's how we speak to our people during Dia de los Muertos. Faye wants to speak. So I brought them, and I gave them to people that I know. There are more out on the table. Speak to Faye. She's here. She's also in Montauk. She's on Avenue D being listed out by the Puerto Rican boys who would call her La China. She's at Riker Island fighting for some kid again. She's everywhere. But in the good old Mexican fashion, don't occupy too much of her time right now. She's got a whole world to see. She tried to come to San Antonio so many times, oh my God, she wouldn't stop. Not yet, Faye, not yet. I hope she goes back to San Antonio with me. I'd love her to go back to San Antonio with me. She talked about all of you, every last one of you. She loved you all. you loved her. It was equal. Thank you.
The one thing about Faye I can never forget, she has a way of carrying herself, and she has a smile that says, everything is just cool and okay. And every time I see her, it's the same smile. I don't remember exactly when I met her, but we did a few things together. One, she was on the committee to research on finding folk artists in Chinatown for the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. And she asked me to be her translator. So we went around town in Chinatown interviewing Chinese people, folk artists. And when we went around, we had to say our last name. So my last name is Yuan, it's Yuan Shikai Yuan. And her last name is Chiang, it's Chiang Kai-shek Chiang. And one time, this Chinese person said, wait a minute, you are Chiang Kai-shek and you're Yuan Shikai. Important big people were laughing so hard. And we went to DC, I was also a folk artist represent dance. And we just had a great time. And Faye always had the same smile that says, everything's okay, and she accepts everyone. When I met her, I was in a place where I knew nothing. We're the same age, but the way we're looking at life, we're like 10 years different. She knew what's going on, she was mature, she would run a basement workshop, she would treat people a certain way, her language skill, and I would just like barely speak English, and I was like 10 years behind. I don't know what's going on, I don't know what she was demonstrating. She just knew about everything. I'm like 10 years behind my little sister to catch up with her. So I find her inspiring, I respect her. And then she would do things like run after school center in Chinatown on Catherine Street, and just ask me and a few people, go run a daycare. Like everything is very easy. I know her life isn't easy, but she made us feel that anything is possible and everything is easy and everything is gonna be okay.
I knew Faye through Project Reach and someone I don't want to discuss right now. Yeah, I love Faye. I think Faye was like the essence of, she embodied what a human being should be. Because Faye exemplified humanity. Whenever I felt down, whenever I felt like shit, I'd go visit Faye. And you know, it's just so beautiful that all of us are here because of Faye. And I wish Faye was here. Well, you know what, Faye is here in spirit. And I just, you know, I'm really overcome with like sorrow and joy and happiness that she's here. So, yeah, I guess, I don't know what to do, but I just want to like give a farewell to Faye. And I don't know how to do that, but just be myself.
Can everybody look at the programs real quick? If you have one, just take a look at the program. Look at the beautiful film on the right and look at her. It's a spinning image. Wow, beautiful. I'm just, okay, never mind. Sure.
Thank you guys so much for all being here. You guys put me on the spot. There are so many different parts of my mom's work, and when you look around this room, it all just overlaps, you know. Every single person in here has a story of what she meant to them. And you know, sometimes I think you guys know her better than I did because she was just my mom, you know? And she had so many roles in so many people's lives. And thank you all for being part of hers.
I met Faye in the early 80s, probably around 1980, late 82 or maybe early 1983. I was a young artist in New York. I had just graduated from, got my degree from Hunter College in graduate school, and I was out on my own in the city. And I remember trying to get a little more of a community. Someone I knew from college, I tried to get him to move out here, and going about making art. And sometime, I think around that time, I was approached by, my friend did move out here, Colin Lee, and then another friend of his, Arlen Huang. They said, you know, John, you should get involved in basement workshop. And I had no idea what they were talking about, but we went down to the space they had on Catherine Street, and that's when I met Faye. And Faye was very welcoming. She was very interested in what I was doing as an artist, how I fit into the community, how I could, participate in things. And this opened up, a new world, a new community, if you will, that was already existing in New York that I had no idea was, already taking place, and really an important part of the cultural scene at that time. And, through Faye, I think John Woo was still co-director at that time, and I met a lot of other people that I've since, known in New York, other artists. I participate in shows with Colin and with Arlen and with Chuck Ewan, and I participated in some early shows of sculpture at the Basement Workshop space. And it was also, I guess one of the things I thought was important was I was really given a sense of do what you think is important as an artist. And so that space became, a space for making art and showing that art in a way that, also led to, meeting other people and to other exhibitions at that time. So it was kind of a outreach, but it also involved meeting people, later Kim Kielaba House. There was a show, Hong Kong, Tokyo, New York, and other exhibitions that dealt with some of the themes of Asian American artists here in New York and what they were interested in. So this was an important time for me, and I think it was very important that this is something that Faye felt strongly about, that she was doing pretty much through her own force of will.
Could we just have a minute of silence? Okay? I'll be right back.
Life will see. No, I won't be afraid. No, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky had been wrong, to tumble and fall. Be afraid. Oh, be afraid. Stand by me. So darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me.
I came to Chinatown in '69 when I first met Basement Workshop, which at that point, we hadn't named it Basement Workshop at that point. It was on Elizabeth Street, and a few, shortly thereafter, that's where we met everybody, including Faye. I was also active in those days with a few other community organizations. I guess one of the big events that we held in those days was the street fair, the Chinatown Health Fair, basically sponsored by the Chinatown Health Clinic, but Basement was deeply involved in helping to organize that, as we all were, maybe 100 volunteers back in those days. And so we all worked together to benefit our community. As Mao taught, serve the people. As the Black Panthers taught also, to serve our community. And so we got to know each other, and for all those decades. It's always been remarkable for me to see Faye every year when she has her annual birthday party, and to see so many people come out and perform and celebrate another year of life that Faye is able to survive all those difficult years. After Basement and continuing with Project Reach, so I wouldn't miss one of her birthday parties. It was a remarkable community celebration, as this one was, to celebrate everything that we tried to do in those days for our community. Luckily, even after so many decades, when OWS, Occupy Wall Street, started, we wanted to bring a big banner down there, and so I got Faye to help make this huge banner. We painted it at Project Reach, and we figured out what to say, and what was written on it was something about OWS or Occupy Wall Street, bringing peace to Lower Manhattan, and we used the word peace in Chinese written on the banner. So that was a different kind of banner in the Liberty Park down on Occupy Wall Street, something that was written in Chinese and something that was talking about peace. And then we did that again. Faye and I made a big banner again when Private Danny Chen was killed in the army, and we mounted a huge event for him to demand justice from the military, which of course we never got. And so we made a huge banner with his name on it, and Faye and I spent all afternoon painting this lovely thing.
My name is Ramsey. I met Faye in '09. She gave me my first opportunity to sing and perform for people. I'd like to lead a sing-along. As you know, Faye loves a sing-along at the end of an event. That was what she was about. And she always asked me to play redemption song. I was away a lot of this year, but I went to see her about a month ago when she was in the hospital, and she wasn't talking much, and she was sleeping, so I was gonna let her sleep, and I was leaving. And she asked me to stay for a bit longer, and she hadn't been speaking much, but I played some songs, and she sang the whole song, So if you guys would sing along a redemption song with me, that'd be really delightful. Old pirates, yes, there are bottomless pit, but my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. Before this generation triumphantly. So won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? Is all I ever have. Redemption song, redemption song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy. None of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets? Why we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? All I ever had. Redemption song, redemption song. In every way now, in every way, in every way now. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. Number ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy. Why we stand aside and look? Ooh, some say it's just a part of it. Forget the book. Won't you help to sing these songs of freedom? 'Cause all I ever had, 'cause all I ever had, 'cause all I ever had, 'cause all you ever had, 'cause all you ever had, 'cause all I ever had, 'cause all we ever had, girl, 'cause all you ever had, 'cause all you ever had, girl, 'cause all we ever had, 'cause friends all we ever had, said all we ever had, said all we ever had, girl, 'cause all you ever had, Faye, all you ever had, Faye, 'cause all you ever had, Faye, 'cause all you ever had, Faye, 'cause what you leave us with, redemption song, redemption song, redemption song.
Tina is going around. This is Tina over here. Tina is going around and got some pencils made. All I know is that every time I asked Faye for a pencil, the eraser never worked. So Tina went out and made 200 pencils, and each of you should take one. It's in memory of Faye. And what I'm a little afraid of is that we're all here because of Faye, but I'm also afraid that many of you are here for the same reasons as myself. which I don't have a life, so I have nowhere else to go. So we want you to all go home and travel safely. And from Cassie and myself, safe travel.
I want to thank everyone who's participating in this celebration for Faye. I want to thank Mei Feng, who first came to me with this idea in late September. I had to ask Faye and Xian what they thought, and Faye was very excited and happy to know that everyone wanted to have a party for her, because as we know, Faye always liked the fundraiser parties at Project Reach with music and poetry and art and a lot of people gathering. So she was very, very excited. I want to thank also Don Gao, the director of Project Reach, Dan Giella, the director of One Art Space Gallery, and also Javier Soriano, who's doing this taping, and all the numerous musicians, poets, readers, and also we're having healers.
It would be so easy to do. The firmness of the body, a beautiful one, sensitive to touch, ignites sparks I cannot explain. The pleasure from our closeness, torn side by side, drifting through the darkness to our dreams. Oh yeah, and it would be so easy to fall in love with you. It would be so easy, yeah. It would be so easy to fall in love with you. It would be so easy to do, yeah. Damn, I stay with you. I really got to know the depth of your beauty and your mind, your mind. Oh. So easy to fall in love with you. It would be so easy to do.